You're listening to Raiding the Fringe with Poda, Ostinius, Nepids, and Dr. Lee. From ancient civilizations to the cutting edge of science, from exploring the outer reaches of space to the Atlantean depths, we discuss the topics of the unknown and the possibilities of the bizarre. Are you hungry to expand your horizons? Come get your fill as we raid the fringe.
Welcome, everybody. This is Ostinius, a bit under the weather, but not forsaken. With me, as always, is Poda.
What's up?
Neppets.
Hello.
And Dr. Lee.
Hello.
Today, we are speaking on evolution. Where are its merits? Where can we trace things from? And given outlandish facts, where could we possibly exacerbate it to?
Evolution's cool. I do believe it exists. I'm not in the pretense of you got something from nothing or order out of chaos such as it is, but evolutions of an organism over time to adapt, survive, and thrive, fully support it. We see it. Even human bodies are changing due to the social structure and dietary needs and lack of exercise and technology increase.
Now, I don't mean to interrupt, but naturally you are of a Christianic view of such things, correct?
Yeah.
So, do you believe or see evolution as part of that, or is it separated? Is it more scientific, or do you find factual basis?
I think it's real. It does exist. I just don't 100% have the faith that something came from nothing in that sense.
Do you believe that everything sprang out of the primordial ooze, or was it a gradual ascent?
I'm trying to put it into terms in my brain to
Do you
word it
believe
out.
Disney Channel turtles and everybody just jumped right out? Hey, we're here. Or do you believe like it was a gradual?
Howdy ho, I'm a dinosaur.
Well, I guess
Yeah.
that would come into what your definition of time and length of time and how much time would pass. For example, in Scripture, when it says a day to God is like 1,000 days, because he's a being outside of time and space, could creatures like Precambrian life forms, when he says he created the things in the sea, and since our time understanding is different than his, there could have, like, one day may not be what we coin as a 24-hour day right now. Does that make sense? But it could be a span of time.
Now, you see, that's right along where I like to theorize. Now, I'm agnostic myself. I don't know if I believe or not. I do believe in scientific method and evolution. But reading the passages of the Bible, that's how I interpreted it. As in, on the first day,
One
the
day.
second day, a day isn't literally a day. The whole thing's written in metaphor and supposition. So if I was to apply the Bible to my current set of beliefs, and find a ground that answers both, I would say that, yeah. So like the first era would be the first day, and this, era, epoch, whatever you want to call it. So, the world was created in 7 days. I would call them more like cosmic days and not days of the earth.
Well, now are you still under the supposition of he rested on the 7th day? So that 7,000 years, things were left to be as they were.
I'm sure we could find an era where nothing happened, and we could call that our 7th day. I believe in evolution, 100%. Like, I don't believe someone snapped their fingers and created something. But, for instance, when he created man, nobody, the first time they ever pick up a pencil, can sketch the Mona Lisa. So, say the first time you wanted to create a man, you know what? This looks like a monkey. So, your first man was a monkey, and you're like, you know what? That's kind of close. Too much hair. Let's make him stand up a little bit more. It's, and and tweak it that way. If you think of God as an all cosmic presence that instead of being a person that can tweak the passage of the way things goes and applies Darwin's theory of evolution, where it's, the whole nature versus nurture, whatever is needed to change things, and using the laws of nature itself to create evolution.
So, right there, you said one of the biggest suppositions. Is it nature versus nurture, or is it a divine hand tweaking these things that we've noticed being men? You know what I mean?
I'm more of an intelligent design person that I do believe that he got it all correct in once. I believe that what he says, or what it says in the Bible, it says usually when he's talking about, or when the Bible's talking about different types of things, it's more along the lines of like their kind, like dogs are dogs, humans are humans, cows are cows, and stuff like that.
Well,
so it's the kind. So then you take, like what they say is, they say all domestic dogs came from a wolf. We, fed them, bred them differently, so we altered it, but God created wolves, dogs. What I'm saying is that it is like if you look at how the world was created and like the astronomical ways that numbers of the chances that this could happen, I don't see how you don't believe in some type of like intelligent design. Sorry. It's ridiculously crazy.
Based out of a precedence of evolution.
I believe in adaptation.
You're talking
I'm not
about
saying
intelligent
that like
design.
intelligent design is in God created everything.
So you're saying creation and then evolution?
No, I would say that different things have changed. I wouldn't say it's evolution. Like, okay, I heard something today actually that was kind of cool. They say that lizards basically, or dinosaurs were, or lizards and things like that eventually turned into birds. But lizards and dinosaurs did not have, most of them didn't have in their DNA, lizards themselves specifically, does not have in their DNA how to build a feather.
Right.
So they could not have, birds could not have evolved from lizards or ancient lizards. They don't have that type in their DNA.
Well, that's
process.
not to say that everyone.
Well, I'm just saying, majority lizards cannot grow feathers.
Right, but they could be descended from someone who could.
That's a big could be though. You mean I'm just saying, like, if you go by the different kinds and stuff like that, I don't believe that one random animal can be evolved from a completely different random animal that doesn't have the same type of DNA. DNA is what's the building blocks of everything. So you can't tell me that our DNA...
That's part of it. The cross-pollination diverts it along the strand of base DNA and allows it to become something new.
Well, before we get too deep into our current theories on evolution, you're the only one yet, Ostinius. What is your belief?
I totally believe in some sort of, I don't know, there was a floppy fish that used its fins as feet and became a walking creature that came about on the sands and evolved into other things. I do believe that lizards could have produced more of the common birds that we know. Because if you look at the claws, the talons, the basic structure of bones and things of that nature, they were hollowed, and it is a thing of evolution. I believe evolution is very secure in its foundations. I don't know. I believe it's totally founded.
Now, we keep referring to the dinosaurs, which I know is common. Like, of course, you're going to refer to the dinosaurs when we're talking about evolution. A lot of the dinosaurs were themselves feathered. Some had hair, some had feathers, some were lizardish.
I'm just saying lizards themselves, an aspect of that some people would say that some lizards back, from an ancient time could have been ancestors because of their bone or their claw structure. But they don't have the ability, because the ability to produce feathers is a very complex thing that
totally
birds
agree.
have. You know what I mean? So
like the
saying that
marrow
another
of it
animal
is all hollowed. It takes
and saying that an animal that produces a, you know, like an amphibian skin or a lizard type skin, you know what I mean, that's armored and stuff, there's no feather making, like we can't grow feathers. You know what I mean? So that's why I believe that God created every animal in its own kind, and adaptation, the way that the environment or a way that the life situation changed. Now, I don't believe that something that is like a monkey, I don't believe was a human.
No,
you know what I mean?
I agree with you to that point. Like I'm using one basis of one creature. Like the reptiles can be linked to form bird-like creatures and stuff like that. That's one branch of it.
No, yeah.
I don't believe that, you know, we are from a T-Rex one day took a shit in the toilet, and now it's like, I'm a human boy.
No, but I don't believe that you take one type or a kind of animal and get a different kind of animal. I believe that kind of animal adapts to its environment, and it stays about the same. Dogs and wolves are about the same.
It's a natural process over millions of years.
Yeah, but you get a dog, you can't turn it to anything but
a wolf was a dog, and a wolf is very different from a dog.
The full concept of evolution, we did not come from lizards. Lizards did not come from monkeys. There was one thing at the beginning, and it branched. And so everything has one common ancestor that doesn't exist anymore because it's chosen all the different paths that are the animals now. So for full evolution, there was one set of chromosomes. You can only hold so much DNA into a chromosome.
Yeah.
Now, with reproduction, at first it was asexual reproduction, so there became two of them. A genetic flaw made one, the TGAC of DNA. One little piece went from A to C. It died because that was stupid. But then there was another genetic mutation where that A turned into a G. And that was a good move. And it survived. Now you have two different creatures, and they're saying we can't be related because I'm an A and that's a G. But they came from the same creature. And eventually it gets more and more complex until you have so many variations and variations in the number of chromosomes.
But I mean, okay.
Eventually it looks so different.
That's asking me to believe something that like seems like a far stretch. Because if it's that easy, you know what I'm saying? I know it's not comparatively easy, but if it's that easy, that one thing came out, just switched its DNA and stuff like that, then why isn't there more things that we have found that do that in other places? Even here. Have we even found...
Like you're
like what?
Thinking on a small scale. Like, we're just humans. Us mammals is one thing. Reptiles and stuff like that is another thing. Plants. There's so many diverse genomes.
Yeah, but he said that all this stuff came from one organism.
Yeah.
And it very well could have. We're talking millions of years ago. Yeah, it's so diverse now that
have we found anything that has that ability, though? We have
found things that have similar abilities. That's why there's the mammal genome. There's the plant. There's.
I will give you more specific. A man has a child who has Down syndrome. Down syndrome is a genetic defect from the original, not necessarily inferior, but different enough. Given in nature, if this had happened to an animal, it would die off because they are slower or weaker or whatever. Natural selection. So you don't see that becoming a genus. You don't see it becoming its own set of creatures. It's staying human because it doesn't go past us because we are the only species that preserves our weak. Along that note, I would say that humans are probably done evolving. We won't let ourselves evolve anymore because we cultivate it all and reintegrate it all.
I don't know.
I think the human body is still changing based on the cultural stance and our dietary and how our culture is now. Like the theory that the jaws and our teeth, kids are being born without wisdom teeth now. Our jaws are not being as strong as they used to be, and they're more becoming a point. Because we have the technology, we don't have to technically chew food anymore. The jaws that we have are changing. Our eyes are allegedly becoming bigger because the intake of information and what we use our eyes for is not so much survival now as information input from the amount of screens that we have and the amount of information we can take in at a constant rate. which would increase brain size technically in that sense with the GMOs, like genetic not
GMOs.
food on steroids, meat and
GMO,
vegetables, and getting just perpetuating growth faster and quicker. We're starting to look like anime characters. It's weird.
I have a cool little theory that I technically like the idea. I believe that we're actually, everything on Earth is getting weaker. Like, you go back in the fossil records and you see things that are huge, like a huge armadillo. You see huge things. I believe that when time started, that all these things that were huge were their original, what they were supposed to be, because the Earth could contain it. Now, as we further go, things are getting smaller. Even humans themselves. I know that you guys say that Neanderthals aren't humans, but humans were sturdier back then. They had stronger muscles. Most animals were sturdier back then. You know, you have the mammoth, which is basically like the elephant. So I believe that every creature is getting weaker. Like, they are actually not de-evolving, but we are adapting to what this Earth can give us, and it's actually making us a lot weaker.
You know what? I can see that. I like a Plecostomus that when you put it, it'll grow to whatever size tank it's put in.
Yeah.
And now that there are so many of us and so much of our resources are being used so often that there's less to go around.
And like less oxygen. There was more water back then too. A lot of it's frozen for us. You know what I mean? I know it's re-melting right now, but there was more oxygen, more trees. You know what I mean? We burnt half of our trees and stuff. Like, it was said that America, a squirrel could run from New York all the way to the Mississippi River and not touch the ground because they had enough trees to do it. You know what I mean? So we have definitely affected that, but I'm just saying it's even affected by even more aspects of probably human growth and other growth, because from, you have basically the areas where the prehistoric things they talk about, all these animals that are huge, and then all of a sudden something happened, and then now they're a little bit smaller. They're still big. Like, they still had cave bears in the Ice Age and giant, wild cats. But, you know what I mean? And every year, things are getting smaller. We're even making animals smaller themselves.
What do you think is causing this drift in minuscularity?
I believe that this world is coming to a head, to a point where it is going to not be able to... It's getting ready for the end. And I believe... Again, we all know that I believe in the coming of Jesus Christ and stuff, and it is getting to that point. So that's why I believe that's just a theory.
You believe we're becoming overpopulated as a human society?
Not entire. I'm not saying that. I'm saying more along the lines of the effect of how things were created in the beginning were much bigger, and now they're a lot smaller because of the way this world can only maintain what is alive now. If we tried to bring back a dinosaur, it wouldn't even be able to breathe. Or if it is alive, it wouldn't grow any more than an elephant or a hippo. Those sizes.
Well, I think those sizes, that's a gradual result. If the dinosaur were still alive today, I would agree with you. But I would say if we were able to go back into time and pluck one up, it wouldn't adjust its size and its babies wouldn't be tiny right off the bat. It would follow the same trend as us maybe and shrink down. I really like that theory, but I wouldn't say...
Okay, let me pose something else. So we're talking about evolution as a theory. We're talking about the same kind of thing. Primordial ooze, a creature coming out, yada, yada, yada. So what if it went the other way? Like, we talk about that primordial creature evolving into apes and becoming man, and so to speak. Throughout that part, what if they became sea apes? What if a separate sect of those creatures evolutionarily went back into the ocean and became kind of sea apes, half men, half mermaid kind of thing? That's where mermaids came from, and that evolutionary chain.
You're talking real life sea monkeys.
Yeah, like real life sea monkeys. Yeah, no, for real.
Like,
I mean, if it's as plausible,
it's
as plausible to come onto the land and evolve one way, what if it is capable to go back into the ocean and evolve another way?
You're proposing one of the branches of hominids in a humanoid setting that we know of went back into the ocean.
Yes.
Okay.
I would put forth that it would be probably more hairless than us, because
Well, I say sea
Hares-
apes because that's
Right, but I'm just saying if that kind of branch had happened, let's say right before the era of the missing link that we're looking for, where
yeah, we're not looking for a Bigfoot.
right, the one spot became human, but the other guy decided, nah, screw this, I'm going back into the water.
Yeah.
Then yeah,
I come from the water.
I see webbed fingers and toes, no hair. I believe we would have developed a dorsal ridge probably on our skulls.
Really? On your skull?
Yes, right across the top of the head like a mohawk.
Okay.
Because as humans go, as our evolution has gone, we've got a lot of importance on our head, and it's the forerunner of everything we do.
Wouldn't be more importance of speed and stuff to have things more aerodynamic than just on our head?
See, I would think
I'm
it'd
not
be.
saying there couldn't be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it would be a smooth surface with maybe a blowhole, like a dolphin.
Oh,
But why would they need a blowhole?
Because they're
To
mammals.
breathe.
Or they're whales. That's exactly
You
what happened.
surface only for a portion.
You're talking about it's whales.
But
They're
if-
not sea apes.
No,
They're whales.
No,
No, they're
I'm
dolphins.
talking of more.
Porpoises.
You would still have digits, and you would still have, flexible arms, but it would be different.
And see, that's hard for me.
Something that we wouldn't even know today.
And I understand that, but that'd be hard for me to believe in that theory now if they went back then to the point they would be now where we're at in time for them to still have a blowhole. I would think they'd be completely aquatic by now.
Could we have the ability
For a
to
survival tactic.
de-evolutionize something? Like, I mean, have
de-evolve?
Yeah, is there since evolution is such a big thing? Have we actually tried experiments to de-evolve other things?
well, here's the thing:
Not
is
that I know of. I'm just.
No, I was just
supposing.
asking.
Oh no, I like
even
the theory.
if you went back and tried to recreate a Neanderthal,
I'm
with
not even
their
talking
DNA,
about going back. I'm talking like let's start with something now and literally try to de-evolve it,
Super Mario Bros. Reference.
or make it adapt to something so drastic that it shouldn't be ready to be adapted to.
Well, evolution and de-evolution doesn't happen on one person in one lifetime.
No, generations, but they do fruit fly stuff. Like,
So,
they,
right,
like-
you're talking
So
about
what I was
is
saying
supposing a creature, and then we're going to break it down to make it work in society.
No, or breathe water. I was going with what you said.
Oh, that's just evolution. That's not even de-evolving. That's,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like going back to primordial. You know what I'm just saying? Like de-evolve to like let's say. Well, no, you would call that evolving too. Like if they can't fly anymore, like
Let's
the
go.
flies.
Like
Exactly.
from-
It's
yeah,
just-
So
that's what
you
I'm saying.
can't de-evolve something.
If you go from the basis,
No, you just be re-evolving.
you
it.
go like a salamander going forth to create this evolved mammal.
or what
I
what
mean,
is it like?
what else do you want to call it?
But
Sea monkeys.
but that intelligent
You mammal.
selective evolution is what we did to the dog. It's why we have so many different breeds of dogs is because humans did that.
I wouldn't call
Well,
that an
you pick and
evolution. I thought
choose.
evolution was taking something and turning it into something completely different.
No, you
No,
pick
no.
and choose traits.
So
and you
even
force them-
adaptation is considered evolution.
Yes.
Anything that can be adapted within one person's lifetime, like, say you get stronger because you've been working out, that's not evolution. But the fact that you've worked out all your life, when you have a child,
Your
its body
genomes are stronger.
its
and-
body is used to the idea that this creature exercises, let's make
Yes.
him stronger.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's passed along trait to trait.
And that's why it doesn't happen within one lifetime or within two, because
It's a
the
generation.
DNA has to be established, and it can only change from there. If you are changing within your life, you're getting stronger, you're getting weaker, you're getting fat, you're getting skinny. That
Fat
has-
and skinny went to bed. Fat Rolo was skinny, was dead.
that's not evolution.
No, it's not.
But the ability for things to change within their life and to create those traits, that influences evolution. The slow one in the herd gets eaten.
No, yeah.
And so the slow ones don't reproduce, and so the babies aren't slow.
Yep.
And that's basically that's the real layman's
Yeah.
term for evolution itself.
Yeah, and that's, I guess that'd be.
Okay, but
You can train and get
I'm just
faster and
saying,
overcome
like,
it. But
if they
statistically,
see
it's still
that,
not going to happen.
okay, so fast. So okay, with the fast idea, right? In the world, you sit there and you see if you don't train yourself up or you don't become fast, then you're going to die. You see this at a young age. You know what I mean? So I'm not necessarily saying that that's an evolution. You just see it. You're basically, it's like not a cultural thing, but like if I sit there and I'm like, okay, if I say this, something will happen. You know what I mean? I think that animals themselves are good enough to see if I don't train or run or be faster, this is going to happen.
That's part of it.
I think you are basing this off of a human perspective, and the part of the human perspective is that this is what we are fed, this is what we see, and stuff like that. In an animal culture, it is live or die, and those things play a huger role in living or dying than it does in the human culture, and everybody's their own perfect snowflake. And
I agree in a way, but it is the exact same thing.
Animals
and yes, you
feelings.
are right, Nep, that if you say, oh, well, I need to go faster, so I better train to get faster. And that's fine. But you will find that over the generations, the people who have an easier time getting faster are going to win out over the people who try as hard as they want and are only second slowest. They're the ones that are eventually going to die out.
Then shouldn't everything get faster? Because
everything does.
Okay, so
only
the cheetah,
upon their perpetuation.
I'm just saying, so like a cheetah, right, is going to catch a gazelle, and like a cheetah can basically just pick. I know he'll go for the easiest one, but wouldn't that make these other creatures that it hunts over many generations faster than it, and then it would get faster?
No, you see, because
they
gazelles decided that they need to be craftier to survive, not faster. And so instead of developing their speed, they are getting better at hopping left and right and back and forth and zigging and zagging to get rid of the cheetah, because for them, that's what works. And so they've developed that, and that is why our branches of evolution have made such a diverse number of creatures, because this creature here decided that fast is better. This creature over here decides that hiding is better. And both of them are right in their own way, and so both survive, and one becomes
That's why you find puma eat like warthog, because they developed a different way.
I believe in adaptation. I don't believe that you can take something like a lizard and turn it into a cow, or you know what I mean? I'm not saying that, but I guess the most average thing people say is a monkey into a human. I don't believe that. Those are two completely different things.
It doesn't leap. It's a very, very slight difference.
It's gradual.
Your son is 1 millimeter shorter than you. His son is 1 millimeter shorter than him. 100,000 years later, you're 1.5 feet short. You're not going to say, I can't be him. Nobody in my family is that short.
That's talking about just height. I'm talking about completely different things.
It is a trait.
It works for every aspect.
Yeah, it is a trait.
I'm sorry, guys. I just don't agree with that. I believe in adaptation. I don't believe something from one kind can be another kind.
Poda, you want to weigh in on this?
Well, I'm just trying to put into terms
a wolf will never be a lizard.
What I believe.
I thought you said a wolf will never be a wizard.
And technically,
That's literally what
I believe in intelligent design, and I also agree with organisms adapting and changing over time to survive and suit their environment. I mean, that's where I am. That's just what it is.
So you agree with all of us?
Yeah. Because
thanks, Poda.
Because in the discussion of when we were talking about time and 1,000 years and Precambrian time and stuff like that, if we're going on that coin of phrase where a day is so many years, not just a 24-hour period, then the order things were created in Scripture would have to be in that order for man to exist because of how our bodies work. Does that make sense?
Okay. I think what he's trying to say is like he's still trying to take a biblical view. I'm coming from an idea of I don't believe the world is as old as, evolution makes it sound it's as old. I believe that, if you take how far, again, I said this earlier in another podcast, that if you take how far the moon moves away from the earth and you rewind that back, it doesn't go back millions of years. If it did, it would be into the earth. It actually goes back about almost 6,000 to 10,000 years. About how far the moon is away from us and how far it moves. You know what I mean? So there's other things I could say I don't have prepared. But there's a lot of things that I have been convinced that this Earth is a young Earth. So with that's why another reason I have problems with evolution. I don't believe that some of this stuff that you say that takes that long, this world is as long as that. But that's just my opinion. I know it's not a very popular one. You know what I mean?
So which came first, Nep, the chicken or the egg?
I would have to say the chicken because God created it. So it was he created all the birds. So he created it, and it was able to produce an egg.
All right. So then, likewise, you believe that we were created and
Yes.
bada bing.
That's one of my favorite things too, because for creationism, the chicken came first. But in evolutionism, the egg will always have come first, because whatever that first chicken evolved from laid the first chicken egg.
Was a differentiation.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
mine crossed the road before yours.
So a dinosaur laid a chicken egg?
Yeah.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah. That ultimately, that's
You know,
where
the
it came
I
cave
from.
never
chicken.
heard that. That's
A
interesting.
cave chicken.
Well, like I said, it's not a switch. It's not like you flip
wolves.
a switch and it was a stegosaurus, now it's a chicken.
Wolves are not
Well,
lizards.
it's also fun to think about, you know, the hard boiled egg, the egg that's sitting there, and something hatches from that egg. Remember, humans come from an egg too. I mean, it's all
Everything comes from an egg, just about.
it's all part and parcel. Like just depending on
Like a
where
seed
you are
could be
in the
considered an egg.
slice. On the slice.
The way we were designed
evolutionary
is things
chain.
come from
That's all I'm
eggs
saying.
from a first.
No, I get what you're saying. We just disagree at the beginning. Is where
I don't disagree
Alright,
with you
what
at
was I
all,
gonna say?
Poda. So if you feel like you
I'm
disagree
just giving
with
out
me,
my theories,
then
man.
maybe
Like, you
we
know,
need to talk.
I'm not trying to convince anybody, but I want to make a rating the Fringe T-shirt that says wolves are not lizards. that is my thing now. That is my jam.
Actually, I got this from Myrtle Beach. The guy printed it on the spot, and I actually really love this stupid sweatshirt.
Yeah. It's definitely a nice sweatshirt. For the audience that can't see, it looks like a bunch of Adult Swim cartoon characters at a bar being trashed. But no, like I'm just giving opinions here. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind, but that's why I believe in a young Earth. So evolution of that kind of caliber, I can't wrap my head around because
Why do you
really
believe in a young Earth?
Oh my gosh, that would be a whole nother podcast
is
that
a
I
whole
would
nother
have to
podcast.
that I would have to prepare for it. I have some great YouTube videos. I have some great actual people that are credible scientists. I have a lot of different dudes that I have talked to and actually wrote emails to and stuff. And so,
diggity.
yeah, I have.
We'll do it chilling in the fridge.
Yeah, we'll do that one, and I'll interview myself. Why, hello, Nev. You know, no, but I know a lot of guys that like a lot of scientists and different things, and not crack job people that are like out there saying because I there are people out there that say some weird crap, but there are people out there that that actually have some decent information that you're
Do you
like.
guys see? Like we posted the flat Earth episode, and like 2 days later, that guy killed himself.
Yeah, people definitely posted that up, so that's definitely something crazy that happened.
I want to talk more on the theory of a different hominid evolutionary path if we're talking evolution and theory of sea monkeys, because I mean, I guess it just goes back to the disagreement with the blowhole. I think if they existed by now, they wouldn't need to have that anymore for a survival tactic personally, because we would notice them.
There's no survival tactic. Like, it's breathing.
If
Here's a
you're
question
talking
for you.
evolution to adapt and thrive and survive, we would be their number one predator.
No. See, we've got dolphins and whales have blowholes. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't we? They do. They still do.
I mean, even platypuses that live most of the time in the water, they still have nose holes.
But
you know what I mean? It's a duck hole, but
Okay.
it's still made to eat in the water.
Then I guess what I'm trying to discuss would be their intelligence factor at this point. The reason I
Do you mean
disagree,
the intelligence of a water mammal?
the theory of sea monkeys and what we were discussing, I would disagree if they existed at this time to still have blowholes, under the fact that if they're intelligent, as a hominid would be over so long, even developing in the ocean, they would recognize that we are a threat and we could go out and kill them.
You're talking about like
So
if the snorkels
dolphins
or snorts come and kill
Also
this.
have blowholes, and they are intelligent creatures.
But they're not a threat to humanity.
They kill for fun.
Because
Homo.
but,
Okay, like what I'm trying to understand is you're talking about predator. So like what I just said earlier, like what you're talking about is like, okay, they're called the snorks, right?
Yeah.
The snorks, yeah. If the snorks literally came out and was like, screw you, Smurfs, and they come up and kill us, is that what you're talking about? something like that kind of
I don't
thing?
know what the snorks are.
They are literally Smurfs that live underwater with snorkel heads.
I never said that anybody was going to take over or kill anybody.
No,
else.
you see,
No, Poda did.
because
Remember, everything is about killing.
That's his.
Oh,
that's
that's
his
right.
mo.
That's right.
It doesn't happen unless it's going to attack or be killed
Kill
or
it.
get attacked.
Stomp it. That's what he just said, though. Like
Murder.
if sea monkeys came and killed us.
Seriously, though, if we're talking about evolution and evolutionary branches of man, let's go ahead and revisit the idea of Bigfoot. They have Bigfoot-type characters all over the world, living in mountains, living in forests, covered in hair, could be another evolutionary path of man. Not necessarily a threat to us. In fact, they're so good at hiding now, we can hardly find them. Who's to say that there aren't aquatic Bigfoot down in the depths of the Marinara Trench?
That's what I'm saying. The mountain.
I didn't say that right.
Mariana Trench.
Yeah, the Marinara Trench. You know,
But I mean, still, like in the
Marinara.
Himalayas, the Yeti, it's a snow Bigfoot,
yeah. So,
like a polar bear to a grizzly
there
bear.
very well may be other branches of hominids.
You know, I could still believe that these things, like the Bigfoots or something like that, are a weaker version of the red-haired giants that do still somewhere exist in the world. I've also heard that, like, up in Iran,
Like
up
the
in
Jotun?
mountains-
Well, you're also talking about skunk
Yeah, kind of, but I'm
apes
talking like
and
this.
stuff
No,
like that.
no, these are
Boogers.
like what I've heard is they actually these giants come and they'll actually pick you up and eat you right there, and they shoot them with their guns. Like, these are reports. Now this is getting more into conspiracy theories, but there was a report from a guy that went in and was like one of the guys that was shooting at this thing because it was attacking his unit, and they killed it. And then the ones that killed it, they actually air vaced it, up in a plane and escorted it to someplace in Ohio. Yeah, so there's a lot of crazy creatures out there, but I believe, since, again, going along with how the world is not de-evolving but getting weaker, I believe that Bigfoot and them type of entities are reminiscents of giants, but not as basically Nephilim and such. But that's just a theory, guys. That's just me.
That is a theory. We have fossil records of different types of what we would consider hominids, Homo sapien sapien and Homo erectus, and we talked about.
I'm sorry. Anytime he says something,
He said Homo erectus.
I bet it does, doesn't it?
Gay.
Gay.
He probably comes from Homo flaccidus.
E.D. Homo.
Homo, I like in my mouthiness.
I'm really trying to remember what the hell I was saying now.
You were talking about...
No, when scientists say that Homo sapiens started going around raping and killing all the other hominids for dominacy, and that's why good branches of them completely vanished, what about the ones that, saw the crap happening, in theory, like Sasquatch, seen this happening, and then took off, backpedaled, and because they saw us choosing to, instead of nomadic lifestyle, congregate, farm, and stick together and build.
That took us a very long time
I
to
see.
start farming, though.
But you're talking, out of 6, 4 people stepped up, 2 people stepped back.
And all the aggression was focused within the 4.
2 steps forward, I take 2 steps back.
Because then-
We come together. 'Cause
I get what you're
opposites
saying.
attract.
I
Now,
just-
that made
I don't
our
know.
Bigfoot.
Yeah,
They could have retreated into the recesses of culture and eventually disappeared themselves, but based off of the same premises,
Or they could be-
have formed their own society.
Yeah, it could be another colony of people that were, banished, or, small groups of people that, I don't know. I guess that wouldn't. It would have to be a larger group of people, or it would have birth
I mean,
defects.
initially to form their own bands, but we're talking.
Like the cheetahs versus gazelles. One got good at hunting, the other got good at hiding.
There you go. Yep.
And on that branch of theory, that means that could support the sea monkey theory.
I mean,
because
just as likely.
I would think if
Well,
they
did. Two
went,
people did say that they believe that in, the Marinara Trench that there could be a monkey thing.
I haven't heard that.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
literally
they
just said
taste
it.
like spaghetti sauce, but
The Mariana Trench.
Yeah, I know.
I like the Marinara Trench. Yeah.
the marinara trench is delicious.
Anything with trench sounds delicious.
Oh, jeez.
But no, I get what you're saying. Yes, there could possibly be the same thing as like Bigfoot or something that could possibly be under the oceans. I think that it would be, if it was an apex predator, it would look like an apex predator does in the ocean, though. Most ocean-dwelling creatures that are, crazy apex predators look a lot alike.
I don't know.
Okay, scale-wise, the larger ones.
Some
That's
are
true.
no. I mean,
I know
there's
starfish
cunning.
are like apex predators against like clams and crab.
No, but that's a good point. If we had a branch of hominid that lived under the ocean, he probably would be very large. He'd be larger than us because size is definitely a factor for the food chain down there.
And like a lot, like this, also depends on what they eat. Like you have the whales. Let's just say whales. You have the killer whale, which is not really a whale, but okay. You have the killer whale that is an apex predator that eats meat. But then you have the biggest animal that's ever been created. Apparently, the blue whale eats krill. And
Right.
and stuff like that. So it does depend on what you eat.
No, I would imagine some sort of great white shark would be an apex predator for said merman or whatever.
Unless the merman is the one that killed out the megalodons.
An orca would be the
Because men do like to kill things that are the largest and eat them.
We definitely would refer to them as mermen, though, not sea monkey ape things. They
yeah.
do
We're
mermen.
talking about a progression.
Well, they would have been found in the time period where they would be called mermen.
But
nowadays, they'd be called merwomen.
I have
or
to tell
more
you.
people.
Aquasapien.
Aquasapien.
Oh, that's a
great one.
Aquasapien.
Aquasapien.
like
God
it.
damn it, Poda.
Wise water. But okay, now keep in mind with this theory, they kept their articulating fingers. We're assuming they've got their opposable thumbs.
But
Or they could have
webbed fingers.
No, not even that. They could have had a webbing from their wrist to their side.
Oh,
yeah.
Like,
Like
you know what I mean?
flying squirrel wings.
Yeah. Okay.
But because they've still got their fingers and their thumbs, and we're assuming that their frontal lobe is going to develop and become intelligent to any degree, they would have to start manufacturing things. Would there be a city made of coral down there?
I don't think made of coral.
Or how about this? How about all those random cities that we find under the ocean are those aquasapiens, and they're so good at hiding that when we come, because when we come to look under the water, we're coming with giant lights, loud noises.
What if the
I
coral
think-
reef is a giant underwater Great Wall of China and it's just got coral growing over top of it?
Well, I mean, we kill it. Right now it's dead, like the Great
I
Coral
don't
Reef
know.
when we were in school.
I
the
think
beauty.
that they would become accustomed to their natural surroundings and use them to their max benefit. I don't think that they would form things to their structures.
We did.
We've given them plastic.
Another thing too, we have
Like it or
polluted.
not.
Yeah, we have polluted the oceans enough. We probably polluted the ocean so much more that could an actual aquasapien live? Because like you have Fukushima that is still pumping out radiation into the ocean. So we could have wiped out a whole nother species. Well, I mean, we could actually be wiping out species we don't even know of,
Oh, yeah.
and that's on land or in water. So,
And
or
that-
we already wiped them out.
That's another aspect of evolution to talk about is how so many things could be evolving that mankind is just killing.
Yeah, true enough.
Who knows what the dodo would have become in a bunch of more generations.
Dude, we kill the dumb, slow things just like every other apex predator. So those things came up to sailors like dogs. So of course they're going to eat them. I mean, they're hungry. They had scurvy.
There are
They had
fucking
scurvy.
journals upon journals about how tasty sea turtles.
I mean, you can go in some places in the world, probably not, go now, but there are some places in the world that sell sea turtle. Some are not endangered. Most are.
Yeah, but I mean, we hunt the rhinos for their horns, and rhinos are not slow or defenseless.
No, actually, now they're saying rhinos were supposedly unicorns.
They are unicorns normally. Well, we also tamed the bull, which is the last tamed animal we ever, you know what I mean? We actually tamed was the bull, and that thing is ridiculously stupid.
I'd argue that the last thing we've tamed was the Komodo dragon.
I don't believe that is a tamed
I don't-
animal, not
yeah,
like
I
a
don't
bull.
think anybody's
You don't have a
tamed.
Komodo dragon
They
farm.
have
Komodo
domesticated them and make their pets.
I mean, I know what you
That's
mean,
like saying
but
it's like I have
that's
a
like
tiger as a pet. You know what I mean?
dancing
Like,
on the
Okay,
razor's edge. Yeah.
a bull is specifically like less agricultural domestication. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like
Or was it the ostrich? Because we have domesticated ostriches.
Hey, I got some ostrich.
You're probably, maybe you're right. That's a good point. I don't know when, because or emus, you know what I mean, or when were some of these
think-
giant birds?
I don't think there are emus anymore.
Dude, there used to be giant.
No, man, they
birds.
have emus.
Oh, it's the moa I'm
emus.
thinking of. The moa is extinct, but the emu
Is it?
just
Ah, the
endangered.
blue-headed forest turkey-looking thing.
Nuh-uh. There's no way. Hold on.
Forest turkey.
Well, jungle
One
turkey.
of those ostrich relatives is extinct
Hold on,
now.
what did he
Within
say?
the last,
Emu
It's
still
gonna look
exists.
up that one dude from Aquaman and
not
like,
Well, maybe
not
it's the
Jason-
male emu.
You know,
I'm
Jason
thinking of.
Momoa is an endangered species.
Those birds from Fern
He
Gully.
is Aquaman. Boom!
Yeah,
We're back
blue
underwater
faces.
sapiens.
how do you spell
Yeah,
this
that's
bird?
Is that just a
M.O.A.
male emu?
M-O-A.
No.
What bird is that?
No, I don't want to look up Moana.
It's a Momoa or something like
No, it's
that.
a moa.
Oh, there it is. Okay, hold on.
MOA, that's all it is.
Moa. When they start this sentence with past tense, it doesn't look good. Moa were 9 species and 6 genera of now extinct flightless birds. Oh snap!
Yeah, Dr. Lee strikes again with some
Endemic
knowledge.
to New Zealand. The 2 largest species, Dinosaurus robustris, Robustus, and Dinosaurus. I'm not even gonna try that one. That was like Nova
No, but they
Zealanderi.
had a big raptor claw, right?
I mean, they look like
They had a
like
big raptor
If you take
claw.
an elephant and make it into a woolly mammoth, you take an ostrich and you make it into like a
woolly ostrich.
A woolly. Yeah, that's exactly what this thing is.
Yeah,
Who killed them? They weighed 500 pounds. How did we kill them?
one at a time.
South. They lived on an
With
island. New
determination.
Zealand. New Zealand is the people to blame. We love them
God
for
bless
hobbits.
America.
When that place first started getting colonized, they were delicious and they were everywhere.
That's
and they
why
were
we ate
literally
dodo
hunted
birds.
as like a New Zealand chicken.
Plus, they walked up to us and were like, kill me. All
Those
right.
are dodo birds. Dodo birds straight up was like, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah, they
Oh, yeah,
were delicious.
That's why the dodo
but-
bird. That's why the dodo.
They
bird's
weren't that
extinct, too.
delicious, actually. Like
They were just everywhere.
The sailors said they were just there. It was meat. You got scurvy because you didn't get food.
They
I
ate
mean, they
the
ate
dodo
biscuits.
I don't
Yeah.
think you get vitamin
Well,
C from
okay.
the
I'm
dodo,
sorry.
but-
If you had a giant bird that you're used to eating fowl, birds, and one comes up to you like it's a puppy, and you're like, I've had ship biscuits, ship biscuits. That's what I
Both
said. I just wanted to
biscuits.
reiterate that. They're also called hardtack. Okay, so they've been eating hardtack, and like that's about it for a few months. And a bird's like, "Hey, how you doing, friend?" You're going to be like, "Well, I don't know. Let's see what you taste like," and you eat it. And
I mean,
since they were just
it
like
beats eating shit biscuits.
ship
Shit biscuits.
hardtack. But what I'm saying is, you know what I mean? They were an easy source of food. You didn't have to hunt them. They came to you. They're like porgs.
Porgs.
Yep.
Damned porgs.
Shit biscuits.
Hardtack. Have you guys had hardtack before? You know
No,
what? This
I
year,
don't want to.
I know
dude.
what it is, but I've never had it.
Oh my gosh, I will bring you guys back some hardtack.
No thanks.
Just try it.
Hard pass. I don't even want soft tack.
There is no soft tack.
Yeah, exactly. No thanks.
What's wrong with it's like basically a cracker. Just harder
Yeah,
and
so
thicker.
Yeah, I'll eat an MRE and be happy.
I'm just saying, I'll bring you guys some.
I'll try
How you
some.
gonna disrespect me like that?
I'll try anything, man.
In my time of need.
Yeah. Oh, what the hell?
That's how
changed-
you get people to take stuff.
Speaking of food, if there becomes a famine or food shortage, or if some kind of bacteria wipes out wheat or corn, and insects become a staple worldwide, would we have to control their breeding so they wouldn't mutate to survive and change
No,
on
but
the theory of evolution?
I think we'd farm them.
We'd farm them and we'd domesticate them, which is
And
sort
make
of a
them bigger.
controlled evolution. So, have to, no. Would we? Yes.
Yep.
Definitely.
Totally.
Seriously, I think we'd make them bigger, but how big could we make them?
I think we
Because
could
their
make them.
exoskeleton can only make them get so big. You know
Well,
what I'm saying?
Right, but their children would have bigger exoskeletons and stuff if we encourage
But
that
if we
from
make
birth.
spiders bigger, they can kill
If
us.
we
If they were the
farmed-
size of the dog, if they were the size of a bigger than my dog, which is like a pit wiener, they could kill us without us doing anything.
All right. Well, despite the pit
bull
wiener,
and the dachshund.
dachshund.
It's my dachshund.
All right. So, wrapping this up,
What?
I think
I'm
that
sorry, that's just an awful evolutionary trait. I've developed a pit wiener.
Dude, it's got all the best parts of a pit bull and all the worst parts of a wiener.
well, pit wiener all aside.
Have you seen it? Hold on.
I have to draw this episode to a close.
Let's stop.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us today. If you have any thoughts or questions on today's topic, please leave a comment. Or if you want to contact us directly with any thoughts or ideas for future episodes, you can directly email us at ratingthefringe@brainforger.com. Be sure to like, follow, and or subscribe for future episodes on Facebook, Spotify, Libsyn, or most podcast suppliers. We'll see you next time as we raid the Fringe.